So welcome to another business video by Nan. And today we have a special guest. This is Nalendri.
Hi.
Hi, Nalendri.
Hey.
And Nalendri's Canadian and she works in Canada. She grew up, I believe, in like the Toronto area, right?
Mississauga. I grew up
Kind
in
of like people don't know Mississauga, so Toronto area.
Okay, fine. Okay.
And then your first job, oh no, okay, after you graduated from university, you started working in Montreal, but before that you worked, right?
Yeah. I've held jobs, some like summer jobs since I was 14. Done a few different ones. Worked at like Zellers. I don't know if you guys remember Zellers. It's kind of like a Walmart. I worked at the bank. I worked for CIBC.
Okay.
I worked
And then
for
you worked for a store. No.
Zellers. I worked for like
Okay.
Zellers.
Zellers, the bank, and then in
An engineering company for a summer internship.
okay.
And
So a lot of our students they want to know about the jobs in Canada, about the interview process, what are some of the questions. And so I don't know if you remember the job interview from Zellers. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember explicitly, but I know the gist of what they would have asked me.
Would it be an easier job interview than saying working for the bank?
No, I think all jobs asked about the same type of questions. It's just the degree that they're looking for in how you answer it.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to eventually get to your main job, which right now is in Montreal. But first, okay, can you give me one of those main questions that you had when you were in your job interview at the bank or at Zellers? Like our students want to know what is some of the biggest questions they ask.
So the bank and at Zellers, you have to always remember what type of job you're applying for, but they're very customer focused positions. And so I remember being asked for my bank job to tell of a time where I was confronted by an angry person and how I dealt with that.
Wow. And, okay.
Because it always happens, right?
Right. And so what did you answer?
Well, I had a perfect example. When I worked at Zellers, I had this gentleman who misread the price. I was the only cashier, and there was a line of probably about 20 people long. And when he got up there, I told him, "No, I'm sorry. This package of I remember it clearly. This package of underwear is not $9.99." And so he got very mad, yelled at me, and then came back and tried to come to the front of the line. Now all my other customers are getting upset. He's still yelling at me, and I kept on telling him very calmly, even though I wanted to cry really badly. I just kept on telling him, "Sorry, like you'll have to wait." All these people waited, and finally one of the customers said, "Listen, just take him and go for it." So that was the story I told at the bank.
Very good. And they must have liked it because you got the job.
Yeah. Apparently I passed that, so I got the job.
Excellent. And now you've been working in Montreal at a pretty large company for how many years?
So this October, actually it's November, it'll be 10 years.
So 10 years at a large, I want to say airplane company, but maybe I'm not saying correctly.
Yeah, aerospace. It's
aerospace company for 10 years in Montreal.
Yeah.
And so this was after you had completed not only your bachelor's, but also your master's.
Exactly.
So now this is different because this is with a degree and a diploma. So what were they looking for you to get this job in the interview?
So I applied to a technical job. I worked for Bombardier, so it was a technical engineering job, and it was a phone interview because I lived in Ontario, and so it made it even a little bit harder because you can't see the person's face.
Sure.
You can't see how they're reacting. Are they angry? Do they think you're saying a wrong answer? But the questions were very technical in nature. So he asked me everyday type of questions, but that took a little bit of intuition based on my degree and and the field that I was trying to get into. I remember him asking it, so it's a core engineering. He asked me, what's colder when you get out of bed, your wood floors or your tiled bathrooms? And
wow, I would not know how to answer that question.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would.
So
you know,
can you tell me what is the correct answer in case I go in for this type of job?
Yeah, it's your bathrooms. It's your tiled bathrooms. If you're feeling hot, just go sprawl yourself out on your tiled bathroom. You'll be totally good.
Very good. So the tiles, that's a new word for you. That's kind of like the little square pieces that we usually find on maybe the wall of the kitchen or on the floor of the bathroom. And then she used a really great verb, sprawl, and that means just spread out yourself all over the floor. And finally, for our students who watch our channel, can you give like maybe 2 tips for trying to find a job in Canada? 2 tips for the job interview itself.
For the job interview itself, I had the opportunity recently to be the interviewer. So I was hiring some people for my work, so I got the chance to do that. It's a new experience. I would always encourage you to be authentic. So just be real.
Okay.
Don't try to make things up, because people can tell.
Yeah, they can tell like a lie detector test, right?
Yeah. Or I can tell when people have read special buzzwords, like words that they think I want to hear, and they throw it into a sentence. Just be real.
Oh, okay, so you hear these buzzwords, these words that they're throwing out just because they know you're gonna like it, and okay, maybe a little fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
Second tip?
Second tip, people always ask you, what is your greatest weakness or your greatest strengths? It doesn't have to be over the top when you talk about that. It kind of goes back to my first tip about being real. And sometimes you can take something that's positive and it can be a weakness too. So that's a cool little trick to help you during those interview questions. For example, a perfectionist, somebody who always wants to do everything right. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it could be a bad thing.
Yeah, I had a human resource manager in one of my classes, and she said that that's probably not a good weakness to say, or not a good strength.
Okay.
Perfectionist.
Yeah.
So what would be the best? I mean, what a hard question. What's your weakness? What do you think would be the best answer?
Well, if somebody asked me that question in an interview, I would say that sometimes I tend to be a people pleaser.
Okay.
And why is that a weakness? Because not sometimes, you're never going to have a situation where people like you all the time.
Right.
Especially in the world of the workforce, especially if you're trying to get a managerial position or position where you're leading people. Not everybody's going to like you all the time.
Wow, I really like that answer. I think if I was the interviewer, I would give you the job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having Nilendra with us. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.